Thought I heard the doorbell. No, I'm sorry. Thought I heard the door open.
Weatherly Borough Council regular meeting for April 24th, 2023 is now in session. Please rise for invocation and pledge of allegiance.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, as we begin this meeting, we are asking for your blessings and guidance in all that we do in making the best decisions and possible that would help benefit our community. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Vincent Cutterford. Joseph Seibert.
Here.
Teresa DeAndrea.
here.
Jeffrey Miller.
Yes.
Norman Ritchie.
Here.
Joseph Thomas.
Present.
Paul Hadzik.
Just turn the recorder on. It's nothing.
Okay, we needed approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of February held on March 2nd.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as read.
I'll second.
First by Joe Thomas, second by Teresa DeAndrea. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of Treasurer's Report for February held on March 2nd and March 23rd. March of 2023.
I'll make a motion, we approve the treasurer's report for February held on March 2nd and March 2023.
I'll second.
We were first by Joe Sliber, second by Jeff Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of the bills for February 2023 and March 2023. Are there any questions? Okay, I have a question. I brought this up, I believe it was in January, with our auditor, Snyder and Clement. They are supposed to supply us with yearly audit reports to council. They have been our auditors for umpteen years. We have received one. I voted against paying them last time, and I am voting against paying them this time. So we need an approval to pay the bills, however we want to do it. If I make the motion, I'd make it to approve the bills except for that one.
The bill that you're referring to was for a project audit. When we have a grant that's over $100,000, we must have an audit of that grant. That's what that payment was for. And we did receive the audit for the project grant.
What about the yearly audit?
I've been emailing him monthly, Rogen, who is our contact.
I do remember Norman brought it up way back.
Yes, and what the audit is finished. What they do is when an auditor finishes it, he turns it over to another CPA to check his work, and that's where it's at. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing is that tax season came into play, and we got stuff, left behind. No, I just emailed him again today.
But it's laying in dormancy for such a long period of time. Can't we,
I did. Again, today. Twice a month I usually contact them and say, where's my audit? And they're-
What years are we talking about? 2021?
2021. Yeah, they didn't start 2022 yet.
well, if we hold off payment, then maybe that'll force the hand?
No,
No?
generally if you don't pay them, they don't produce the documents.
You're not producing it anyway.
Well, but the one they did produce is what you're.
It's
on
what
the
you're
bills
paying
now.
for. They
Yeah.
did produce that, and it did go into the state. But we have been in touch with them, as a matter of fact, again today, you know. So it's in the upper echelon, and I'll call the president of the company and find out where it's at.
Oh, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Do they even reply to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Jim, what do you say, we just go with the flow?
I would think that the bill that you're talking about is for work they actually did perform. So I
Right.
think that, my suggestion would be that bill should be paid. If it was for the 2021 audit, I'd say obviously, no, don't pay it until you get the audit, but.
We haven't gotten the audit for about 8 years.
Well, we eventually get them, you're right,
Right.
they're way behind.
Way behind.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many years we've had them, it was since Augie retired,
Yeah, I
it was
know.
probably 10 years ago.
Is that a
And
private,
actually,
is that a
we're
private firm or a government agency?
private firm. And actually, we are looking.
So, no, I hear Norm's concern, but my suggestion would be it be paid and Harold contact whoever he needs to at Snyder and Clemente to get him moving.
I've been dealing with our auditor, I'll just go to the president. That's it.
It's kind of just let it ride then, is what we're,
Well, the bill's paid, I mean,
yeah.
you know, the work was done.
Okay, we need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills with the exception of the general audit. To pay for the audit that was just completed for the project, but not the general audit.
Yeah, well, there was nothing there for the general
Okay.
audit.
Need a
Well-
second?
We go on record that we won't do that then.
Right.
Need a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made by Joe Thomas, second by Teresa DeAndre. Roll call?
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Joseph Seibert,
Yes,
Jeffrey Miller,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie.
No. Okay, next item on the agenda is other items of concern. Are there any other items of concern for council?
I do. I have 6 items that I would like to present. Are there any plans in the making for the park across from the bridge entering town?
Yes, what we're looking to do is, as you can see, some of the walls are buckling and moving. What we'd like to do is clean up those walls and actually put a fountain in the middle on the second tier.
Can we cosmetically dress that in any way prior to Memorial Day?
Yeah. Oh, I'll have the guys over there cleaning it up, yeah. We just start, you gotta remember, we just did street sweeping. So, right now, the guys are all catching up on grass. We'll have them over there cleaning it up.
Okay, that'd be really great if we could have it respectably clean looking for Memorial Day.
Yeah, we just came out of winter.
The subject of the old railroad station, I was very reluctant to sell it at the time, even though I made a stipulation in the sales agreement that the exterior of that building would never be changed and would always remain looking as a railroad station. Every once in a while, I bump into the owner or owners, whichever you refer to as, and nothing's being done. And my fear is that that railroad station is going to become another high school building, deteriorate to absolutely nothing, and all that history gone. Is there anything that we can do, solicitor, from the standpoint?
Well, if, to the extent that it is deteriorating, you can do with what, same thing that we did with the high school back when it was owned by, I can't even remember the guy's name anymore, but we can cite him. We have a property maintenance code, and if the property does not comply with the code, he can be cited.
Who does that inspection of that code?
That's Tom,
Tom?
the fire chief. He's also our code enforcement officer.
Can you put that on his work
Yeah.
agenda? The sidewalk and curbing, which was promised to be done at the Urana Park flag area. Is there any movement on that project?
Yeah, we're gonna do it in-house.
Okay. Do you have any projected starting time?
Let's put it this way, I have to have the park pavilion ready for the season, so it has to be done sometime in May.
Okay, so it'll be done though in an appropriate time.
Yeah, I have to have that park pavilion available for
Okay.
people to
I
rent.
understand that, but we promised to have that done and there's no movement on that.
Well, that just happened at the end of the season.
Okay,
So we were heading into winter,
okay,
and we had gone out and gotten prices on it, and they were quite high.
okay. Well, we have to make those adjustments somehow. When are we plan on starting the basketball courts and the pickleball court? We have the grant for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, unlike any other grants that we've had through DCNR, this one is quite intensive as far as paperwork. We have a lot of hoops to jump through in order to get it even, the contract back and to get it rolling. Like right now, if you had seen it in the book, where we're doing the resolution, for the Atlas Engineering, we have to go out and we have to do an RFP on engineers. Even though we have one, we still have to do an RFP and get prices on engineering. I don't have to go with the lowest price. I can stay with the engineer, but I still need to do that. So we're in the process of getting that done. And there's a few other hoops that we have to jump through. And once we get through that, then they ask for like the working drawings. They want to approve the working drawings. We never had to go through all this before. I would not anticipate really seeing any start this year. It may get too late in the season until all the paperwork is done.
But that's what happened last year. We ran out of time and then we,
No. DCNR and the conversations we've had with them are quite aware of the fact that it's a 3-year grant, but they told us flat out in the very beginning, don't anticipate getting anything done in the first year because it's going to be all paperwork. And they're right. I mean, there's a lot of hoops to jump through in this one. We've never had to do this before with a DCNR grant. I was able to get my drawings going. I didn't have to go through all kinds of paperwork procedures to get this rolling.
so if we keep moving forward, then the hoops become smaller and perhaps we can get this done at some point.
As soon as they approve it. Let's put it this way, we're at the mercy of them,
Yeah,
and if
right.
there's a
Again,
lot.
it's another government agency,
Exactly,
yes.
and that's,
Right.
we find out dealing with it more and more.
Do we have any funds available or grants available that we can update the park, perhaps putting some new equipment in for the children? Removing some of the antiquated stuff that we have?
Well, I mean, you're getting $250,000 to put a basketball, pickleball, and pave everything and put new benches and everything in. The next step for grants for playground equipment is extremely expensive. So the only thing we could do is grants.
Can we approach the community chest for something?
They wouldn't have enough to do it, really. When you're talking about a piece of playground equipment, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars. It's not, none of it's cheap.
Are we at the point where we're sure that the equipment that we have in the park right now is safe?
No, we're gonna take some down.
Gonna take some down?
Well, the tower came down.
Okay. Is that marked accordingly to not to be used or anything? Those stuff that's subjected to come down, is that?
Well, the stuff that was subjected to come down, I think, did I take the tower down last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that climbing tower was, one of the worst.
I just don't want any children to go on it if it's earmarked to come down because it's not safe.
No, everything else is safe up there.
Okay. And the last thing I have is that I know we've been discussing this for quite some time, and each time we conceivably run out of time, winter comes and goes, spring comes and goes. Instead of an elaborate type of a garage facility for the police department, can we take an alternate route and put a pole building in of sorts? those things go up overnight, basically. Is there any reason why we can't do something to that effect?
Fun.
Funds?
You're talking, well, we have the NPDES permit, but I would have to change some of that based on the structure that would be going up. Then, you know, and again, you're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of around 200,000.
For a pole building?
You're talking prevailing wage. It still has to have electric. It has to have everything else, you know, in it.
Can we do more research into that pole building?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can-
the last time we discussed, we were looking at an $80,000 engineering study.
Yeah,
Well, that's absurd. I mean,
but that's what it cost. It's not a study. When we were talking about, it wasn't necessarily what you would call a study. The NPDES permit, okay, had to be done. And then you're turning around and you have drawings being, you know, done. And we had other calculations and engineering work that had to be done, you know, for the building. So $80,000 was, you know, not a study. It was, you know, that's where you're at. That's, you know, to put up a building, you have to go through all this stuff. Now, even when you do put up the building, we have to follow the NPDES, which is your environmental and watershed policies that have to be approved by the county and DEP, that all the storm drains and everything else would have to be put in and added to our existing system.
because the pole building or of sorts would be on borough property per se, and it would have to meet the governmental criteria. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that whatever we would design to put in there would have to go through, like the NPDES again, because of the watershed off of it, and we'd have to have storm drains constructed or designed to handle that watershed and everything else. That's part of it.
So we're caught between a rock and a hard place is what you're saying,
Pretty much.
pretty much.
For the amount of money that it costs.
So that money then, that it would cost and all the particulars involved in it, would wear and tear on the police vehicles that are continuing to be in the weather.
State
including-
police don't have garages.
Well, we're not the
A
state
lot of the
police,
other-
they get
well-
their funding from the state, they get their vehicles
That
from the
may
state.
be, but they also, how many other municipalities are sitting with garages? Look, it's not that I'm sitting here saying that, yeah, you shouldn't do it at some time, but you have other priorities that are, you know, beyond that. You have 2 trucks that should be replaced in a backup. And that's all out of the same general fund, you know?
Well, yeah, the 5 that I previously indicated should take priority over the pole building anyway. That's all I have, thank you.
I got something about that. I mean, we talked about not raising taxes this year. Well, so you don't, I mean, if we'd have raised taxes, we'd have more money to do that, but
Well,
the way the economy was going, we really didn't wanna hit the town for any more money, you know, so we try to kinda sit tight a little bit. And that's kinda like we don't have the funds available as much as we usually do.
Even the fact that if you did raise taxes, you still wouldn't have the funds to do a project that large. That's a capital project, and again, when you go over 100,000, you're talking prevailing wage. So add another third to 25, you know, or 25% to the top of the bill, you know?
Just, again, the emphasis on the second is the old borough building. If we can put some pressure on those individuals perhaps through
Well-
Tom's findings,
Through property maintenance
yes,
then they have to be legitimate
Yes.
findings,
I'm sure they will be.
you know? But I'm just saying, that's the criteria.
Yeah, a little bit of paint on that or something wouldn't hurt. It does. I agree 100%. That looks, you got the lights hanging there and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
You have a combination of the old borough building and then you have the adjacent part. That's really a sour note coming into town. Thank you.
Any other council members?
Yeah, I just have a couple things to say. With all the people moving in and out of town and on Facebook and everything, they're all advertising that they're contractors and tree trimmers and all these different people, how do we know who's the scammers and who's the not? Can we make them register or anything?
We had that at one time where contractors had to register and they had to have proof of insurance.
You know,
That's
'cause I
about
don't-
all we can do.
We don't wanna see people get ripped off, you know, because somebody says, hey, I'm a contractor.
Was that's not, Jim, do you wanna handle that one?
Put it this way, if someone's a scammer, they're gonna be a scammer. Honestly, even if they register, they're still gonna be a scammer.
Yeah, but don't they have to have proof of liability insurance and workers' comp if they have employees working?
Well, they have to have we can mandate that they have liability insurance. If they have workers, they have to have workers' comp insurance. However, what I'm saying to you is if someone comes in and says, I'm gonna do your garage and I'm gonna charge you $25,000, give me $15,000 down, and he leaves, you're not gonna stop that by having him register and having him have insurance.
No, I know, but I think what Jeff is indicating is that we have more control of the so-called contractor coming into town or
Well, it's-
establishing themselves in town.
And the
Just
other,
in general, though, everybody's a business person coming into town, you know,
And we did that, you know.
I know we did.
Years
I know.
ago. And one of the other problems we had with that was, like you said, you don't know who's who, and all of a sudden on Saturday, somebody's doing something, you know what I mean? And we say, where's your contractor's
But
license?
if we have it, if we have it in the books and it's a
ordinance.
requirement,
Right,
then it's a CYA for us and for the people in town as well.
but it doesn't,
But-
but that's what I'm saying, it's not, because all it says, so I have a license. That doesn't make me any more qualified than I was before I had the license.
and, you know, you don't want people to think that because we have a contractor's license, that they're good contractors
And
or
now
good
somehow we
businessmen.
endorse them.
Right. But it would only mean that, you know, and that's all it meant before, is that they had insurance. You know, it's as far as we could go. So, I mean, you can do that again,
I don't think it would hurt
you know?
to do it again. It might create some more work for the office, but I think in the long run, it might be beneficial. Even though it's a piece of paper, still might be beneficial, you'll never know.
I kind of would like to do it too, because I get so many shady characters running around. I don't mean to put it like everybody's out to get everybody, but maybe it would look a little bit more official, you know, I mean,
Do it, but
You have to add it.
add it to the agenda.
Would you like to do that, Joe?
I would like to make a motion as such.
Well, we have to
You
make
have
an
to make a-
agenda.
Oh,
Amend
okay.
it to amend the agenda.
So we'll do it,
No, you have to make a motion to amend the agenda.
okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda that it would include that we go back to a contractor registration and proof of workers' comp and liability insurance.
is there a fee with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't like a lot.
All right, well, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first by Joe Thomas, second by Joe Cyber. Roll call.
No, okay, that's right. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We are good?
Yeah.
Okay. Joseph Seibert,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes,
Jeffrey Miller,
yes.
Norman Ritchie.
Yes.
Okay. Now the motion.
Well, no, actually, what I was gonna say, then what you should do is put that as number 9 under business, because you really should have audience participation in case anybody wishes to comment on it. So,
Okay.
okay.
So it'll be number 9.
yep.
That's what I made it.
Okay, any other items of concern from council?
Yeah, I was wondering, is there a way we could ask the people with electric cars to register with the fire company? So that if they go, they have that address and they go there, they know that there's a possibility for a car fire like that?
I don't know. I'm not sure if you can do that or not.
Well, it would just let the fire company know, hey, you know, this guy has an electric car, maybe we're going to fight that kind of fire.
I understand the reason for it. I know those cars can be subject to fires. I'm just saying, I'm not sure if you can force someone to register their electric car with a borough.
No.
I haven't seen it anywhere yet.
Well, I'm not saying force them, but, you know, like ask them, hey, you know, can you let us know you have an electric car? That way the fire department knows that's a
You-
possibility they're
You
going
can
to.
certainly put that out as, for the people that, if you'd like to, it would be helpful to the fire company knowing that you have an electric car. You can certainly put it out there, and if people wish to, yes, you do that. I'm just saying, if you're looking at requiring them to register.
Yeah, no,
I'm not saying you can't, I'm saying I don't know if you can.
Okay, and then the last thing I have is, a lot of people are questioning about the yard sales and stuff. And I know I asked Harold before, can we possibly use the Hill Climb Pavilion like once a month
That's him.
to have like a community yard sale? Because, you know, people are gonna go where there's 10 people set up versus going house to house. You know, and if we just charge like a couple dollars and it would be a donation to the Hill Climb.
Yeah, I don't see a problem, I don't think the group would, so.
You know?
You'd have to bring it up at your
you have
next
to bring
meeting.
it up. You know, 'cause that was the purpose of putting that up, it's for a community, because it's called the Fairway Subaru Community Center. And when we got some of our grant money, that was part of it, so, I mean, it's finished enough to do that, you know. So I'll bring it up and that remind me at the next meeting.
And that's it for me.
The only problem I possibly might see with that is that the main lot down there is not ours. If we approve it and if they wanna move it, you might have to get out and talk to, the owners of the foundry, just say, hey, one weekend a month, you know, just to cover your,
Right.
you know, I can't speak for them, so.
The other thing you have to look into is your own liability
Yeah,
on your property.
yeah.
Anybody else on council? Hey, I have a couple things also. Where do we stand with the water tank painting?
May 8th.
May 8th? Okay, next thing I have is, in my opinion, and I'd like to know the opinion of the rest of the council, I believe we should go back to having workshop meetings and discuss all our projects as a group, instead of coming into the meeting a day after getting our agenda and trying to vote on something. So my opinion is, I think we should go back to having workshop meetings the Wednesday before regular meetings. I'd like to know the rest of council's feelings.
Well, we got two people missing right now, so why don't we table that for the next meeting and get Vinnie's opinion and PJ's.
I agree, I've been saying that for 2 years.
Okay, we'll table that to next meeting. Anybody else have anything on council? Anybody in the audience have anything?
I'd like to ask a question. Do you think it's possible?
Okay, you have to
Yeah.
go up to the mic and give us your name, full name.
My name's Joe Cordini. I live at 839 East Main Street. I moved here to Weatherly a couple of years ago. I find it to be a very, very nice place to live. It's very quiet. We have good police protection. I was just thinking, I was a painting contractor for almost 50 years. Certain places that I went that were out of state required that you take a test in your specific area, like painting, roofing, carpentry, whatever it is that you're going to do, plumbers, electricians. I don't know if it's possible, but if it's possible, have them, require them to take a test before they get their license. That might be a little helpful. You'd find out who's a professional and who's not.
We just have to find somebody capable of giving the test.
Yeah.
Well, you can get written tests,
You know?
and you'd have to find somebody to grade them, but you can actually get written tests like that. I know in the state of Florida, especially in the city of Miami, if you don't take a test, you don't get your contractor's license. You don't get your contractor's license, you can't work.
Well, my general opinion was, at least if we have a name and, you know, like their insurance and an address.
And do a background check.
That if something happens, you can at least go back to that, as we're just somebody coming in saying, hey, I'm a contractor and no
But
address or nothing on them.
Well, a good background check would help too.
once we have nothing to do with that, then that would be a simple matter between them and whoever they.
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, if you want to look into something like that, you can look into it. I just,
Right. I'm just saying what you said, you know, it's not,
Well, a background check versus a reference.
well, what he's saying is, you know, that we could go back on them with, not so much of what the gentleman is talking about with the insurance. That would have nothing then at that point to do with us. That would be
Right,
between
but
the
at least
homeowner and them.
we could say
you
this
know.
is their
Could
address, you know.
we request a reference as part of that? That's not asking too much, that's just a reference of that, yeah, they are certainly capable of doing what or they've done this before for this person, or,
How much is this all gonna detail? I mean, we only have I know we have girls that work in there, but, I mean, I'm not saying I'm for or against it, but I mean, we got, you know, I don't wanna load everybody down with a whole lot of
Right.
extra, cause I mean, I don't know what goes on in the office over there. I mean, I walk in and out. I don't know who has what kind of time available on their hands. So, I mean,
Well, the contractor like me is filling out an application and bringing in your insurance certificate.
Yeah.
That's it. You know,
that one,
That's
that
what
wouldn't
I
be
feel it
bad.
should be,
you know,
just that simple.
you know.
And leave it at that then, or reference? No,
and
you're
then
not gonna check.
the person they're gonna do the work for, let them check their
Yeah, they're gonna have to
references.
do that.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
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 you.
you.
thank you.
Opinion.
Anybody,
I'm sorry.
anybody else from the audience have any items of concern?
Yeah, I do. My name's Beth Parker, and I've been living in this town my entire life, okay? Number one is, isn't the police now using the ambulance building for their garage?
We do have equipment stored in there.
Well, why do we need to build a garage when that garage is
Well,
available?
what they're discussing here as far as a garage for the vehicles, we have other equipment being stored in that garage. Plus, we have borough equipment stored in there to open up space in our garage that we can move around and work. Because we were pretty tight in the regular garages.
Okay, and why? I've asked this question many times. I know Mr. Thomas has purchased a flag. Is there not a flag at this building?
Yeah, we share the Legion flag.
No,
And-
this is a government building. A United States flag should be hanging here.
Mr. Thomas and I walked around with, I think, did you donate? Who donated the flag?
He did.
He donated the
I
flagpole,
know.
and we went around to see where we could put it. Now, what we've been looking at is like right over here on the side driveway, just
Mm-hmm.
off between the two of them, to actually move the Legion flag and have it as our flag right over here.
I don't think that's right. Why can't you put a flag where you have the deposit box? My father put poles in our yard, other people's yards. It's not that difficult.
Where we have the deposit box
Right.
outside.
Right
The-
there.
the
Why
lights are
can't
right-
one be put there?
The lights are right there.
There has to be a place to put a flag at this building. You have the magistrate next door. And to take the flag from the Legion is not right. I'm sorry.
Well, let me tell you something, that Legion flagpole should be replaced.
Then that's up to the Legion.
It has to be replaced.
It's nothing but old pipes, you know, joined together. And the police department are the gentlemen that have to go around and put these flags up and bring them down to half-mast. And Chief, you have a problem with that one over there.
Yeah, so we've discussed, numerous council members and myself have discussed that to combine this pole and another pole, put them in between here. That pole is shot over there. The pulleys are bad. I just had a fight with it the other night to get the flag down. It's wrapped around. It keeps tearing up flags. The flag has been on there for less than a week and it's shredded already. And we have, in reality, we have 4 municipal poles that we tend to now in the borough. Even a U.S. military installation only has 1 American flag on it. So, we need to at least cut 1 flagpole out of the mix, combine it for here, and that would straighten out our problem. A brand new pole that we just put in Memorial Ground 2 years ago,
Yeah,
and the one at the park is in good shape. This one is definitely shot.
And what we wanted to do to honor that is put it between the two buildings. We own both properties.
Well, I just feel that there should be one at this building itself. and
Well,
one
just like
at
the
that
chief
building.
had indicated, U.S. military installations, there's only one on the whole base.
Wood, yes, I understand.
We have 4 or 5 here.
Thank you, Beth. Anybody else in the audience have any items of concern? Okay, we'll move on to business. First on the business is proclamation for Eagle Scout Jonathan Darrow. Darrow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, come on up.
Lord,
You wanna read this?
I'm sorry,
You wanna read this? You read better than me.
not really, but okay. Okay, proclamation, Weatherly Borough Council of Weatherly, April 24th, 2023. Whereas the vision of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare every youth in America to become responsible, participating citizens and leaders who are guided by the Scout oath and law. And whereas Jonathan Darrow, a student at Weatherly High School and a member of Boy Scout Troop 25, has completed the requirements and was examined by the Eagle Scout Board of Review, which found him worthy of the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest rank in the Boy Scouts of America. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America encourage Eagle Scout candidates to complete worthy projects to improve their neighborhoods, their community, and the region. And whereas Jonathan's Eagle project entailed building a new 10x6 meeting table, a display table for exhibits, and a bookshelf for the Historical Society, books and folders. He did this from lumber to meet the feeling of the Historical Society and stained the wood to represent the coal region influence. The project work consisted of over 82 hours of volunteers working on various parts of the project off-site, and then assembling them at the Historical Society building. The furniture was accepted by the Historical Society and put into use immediately. Whereas Jonathan Darrow serves as an example to youth through his high level of personal achievement, leadership, and community service, and has made the Borough of Weatherly and the state of Pennsylvania very proud. Be it proclaimed, the Council, the governing body of the Borough of Weatherly, hereby recognizes Eagle Scout Jonathan Darrow.
here's another copy.
Congratulations.
Get a picture then after. Do you want to come over there for a picture after?
Yeah, he probably will.
Get it in paper.
Okay, next order of business is to review the bids for Phase 1, Contract 3 and 4 for the,
Yes, now, these were the ones that you had approved me to open. I had sent them to you, when you had seen them. Now, at this meeting, you can formally approve those contracts. And they were to the lowest bidder.
okay, we need a motion to approve Contracts 3 and 4.
I make a motion that we approve bids, review the bids for contract 3 and 4 and take the lowest price.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
First by Joe Seibert, second by Teresa DeAndre. Roll call.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
Jeffrey Miller,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Teresa.
Yes,
Teresa.
I'm sorry.
Vincent Cutterford,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
and Joseph Seibert.
Yes.
Unanimous.
These were bids that were opened not in a council meeting, where last month they had given me approval to open the bids and approve them.
part of the
Now
trail.
they're formally approving them.
The trail project.
Trail project.
Okay, next order of business, open bids for Phase 1, contracts 5 and 6.
So 5 is the tree cutting.
Yeah.
Okay. The first bid received was from
This is for contract 5, tree removal.
It's from Buck Mountain Landscape. And the bid is $26,500. The second bid is received from Huffman Tree Service. And the estimated price is $8,950.
Would you repeat that, please?
The bid price, or the estimated bid price he has here, the estimate is $8,950. He has estimate in front
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
All right, close.
This is what he has in there. It says 26,500.
Right, that's 26,500.
And that's all I have for the
Trees.
trees. We're just gonna go right to the next one.
Mhm.
Okay.
This is the excavation contractor.
Yes, we have one bid. And it's from RH Construction. And the bid price is $33,409.20. RH Construction, $33,409.20. And that's it.
Which one do you want first? Tree or
Does
the-
anybody have any questions on any of them?
The only question I have is the Huffman one says estimate.
It doesn't matter, that's not an estimate, that's on
I
the
think
sheet.
it's just
Okay.
on their,
It's the
it
sheet.
says
All right.
estimate, but it's their regular form.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, we need a motion and a second for contract 5 for the tree removal.
I make a motion that we accept Hoffman Tree Service for $8,950 for the tree removal contract.
Second,
I'll second it.
first by Joe Seibert, second by Vinnie Cutterford. Roll call.
Joseph Seibert,
Yes.
Vincent Cutterford,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
Jeffrey Miller.
Yes,
Okay, we'll need a motion for contract 6, the excavation contract.
I'll make a motion that we accept RH Construction excavation contract for $33,409.20.
I'll second it.
First by Joe Seibert, second by Jeff Miller. Roll call.
Joseph Seibert,
Yes.
Vincent Cutterford,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
and Jeffrey Miller.
Yes,
Okay, next item of business is resolution on sewage sludge waste on farmland.
Midge, are you?
Hello, and thanks for having us. My name's Brandon Fogel. I'm here on behalf of Save Carbon County. This is just an issue that we've been raising with different townships in the area. A little bit about us. Save Carbon County was originally organized to defeat the Penn East Pipeline, a structure that would have devastated local parks, farmland, and homesteads while providing little benefit to the county. The pipeline has been defeated, and now our organization has been redirected to protect the environment of Carbon County from threats such as overdevelopment, the wrong type of development, and state laws and regulations that could harm our county's unique environment. So we've turned our attention to the growing threat of sewage sludge, used as fertilizer for landscaping and for agriculture. Sewage sludge is the solid waste that remains when waste treatment plants treat the liquid municipal waste and return the treated liquid to a river or to the ocean. So state laws allow local governments to implement some regulation of sewage sludge, such as requiring signs on field where it's used or notification of neighboring property owners. But state law prevents local governments like this from prohibiting the application of sewage sludge and other agricultural operations like factory farms and stockyards, things like that. So a little bit about the sewage sludge. The real problem is not the sewage part of it. I mean, obviously, different types of excrement get used for fertilization purposes normally. The real problem with this stuff is all of the other things that wind up in it. I think about all the stuff that winds up in a septic plant besides septic material. So anything that goes down a toilet, a drain, so automotive stuff, medical waste, heavy metals, carcinogens, things like that. Most of this sewage sludge that gets produced is coming from pretty urban areas, places like Bethlehem especially. So you can wind up with changes day to day in the composition of this stuff, and it's being treated as though this is safe to use on fields and things like that in the area. There are two different classes of it. Basically, they treat it with heat, which kills pathogens, but does nothing to remove chemicals or heavy metals, things like that. So you've got Class A sludge, in which most of the pathogens have been removed. Like things like enteric worms and stuff like that has been removed, but still has the carcinogens. In Carbon County, most of the stuff that gets used is Class B, where that sort of material really has not, even the pathogens have not necessarily been effectively removed. They can contain things like, let's see here, we got forever chemicals, PFAs. These have been in the news a lot lately, and the government is looking to regulate the content of PFAs that can be found in things that can be consumed by humans because it's been found to be very harmful. Our main concern with this is that you could wind up with land in Carbon County that will wind up getting banned for use for agriculture because now we're using this PFA-laden sewage sludge on it. This has happened in other places. So far, we're allowing people to do it, but it could very well be that federally in the future you won't be able to. So that's really our main concern, is we want to protect the local farmland, we want to protect local farmers, protect local residents from the stuff that can be found in the sewage sludge. Right now, there is not much local municipalities can do about this. The Right to Farm Act was altered in the past to protect activities like this. It didn't always. It used to just be, so that a local housing development could not prevent a farm from, putting out things that smelled bad, stuff like that. Now it's been altered to prevent you from basically doing anything about harmful chemicals, things like that, that any agricultural use might be connected to. The sewage sludge in our area is produced by Bethlehem Wastewater Treatment Plant and Klein's Island Treatment Plant. We expect the use of sludge to increase in the upcoming 2023 planting season because of the current high price of conventional fertilizers. This sewage sludge is usually free. They're looking to get rid of it. So it's very attractive to local landowners, anybody who needs to fertilize a piece of land. We're trying to educate people on the dangers of using this, and that's why it's free. They're trying to get rid of it. No treatment plant in Carbon County produces or distributes this material. It's all coming from outside the county. We ask for your help in bringing this issue to the attention of state lawmakers. So basically, if you guys can vote on this amendment that we've put together, we can get all local townships to agree on that, then we can take it to Harrisburg and start fighting for it there and start trying to get you guys the ability to regulate this stuff. We're not even trying to require local townships to regulate it. We just want you to have the ability to do so if you want to. And that's what our resolution is about. Did you guys get the resolution? Did we send that to you?
Yes, I have it in the book.
Cool. If it's something you're interested in discussing and voting on this evening, that would be awesome. It would save us coming back again and talking to you again next time. But if not, we can also do it then as well. But yeah, that's what we're here to talk about. That's what we're here to represent. That's our current cause is trying to get you guys the ability to regulate this stuff. So thank you for your time.
Who had passed this in the county?
Which townships do we have approving right now?
We have 6 townships that have approved the resolution, and we expect 3 more to approve it in May. The 6 are Lower Tomensing, East Penn, Jim Thorpe, Mahoning, Nesquehoning, and Summit Hill. Obviously, Jim Thorpe, Mahoning don't have any problem with sewage sludge because they have no farms, but they passed the resolution in support of the townships that do have a problem.
Okay. Council have any questions?
No, I read that, and I didn't really see anything positive in there that I would like to, I mean, I'd like to do away with the dumping.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything there that really, anything positive, I didn't get anything positive out of it all.
No, it's essentially a waste product. It's hazardous material that they need to get rid of, and they're marketing it as fertilizer, and it is that to one degree or another, but in reality, they're just trying to get rid of something that they don't have a place for. And that is an issue. We don't really have a good answer to the sewage sludge problem as a society right now, but honestly, anything's better than literally spreading it over the biggest amount of area you possibly can. Even just putting it in a landfill, not perfect, but better than putting it on farm fields, where people wind up consuming goods that are, it can dry out, blow onto other fields, it winds up in your air, in your water, and even fields that aren't going to be consumed by humans, the deer get on those fields, they eat it. In Maine, they actually had to issue a do not eat advisory on deer meat because the deer were getting onto fields that were fertilized with this stuff and winding up with all these chemicals and heavy metals in them. It was making the deer unsafe for hunters to eat. That's really why we're worried that this could cause regulatory problems in the future for anybody that chooses to use it now, because really what you're doing is contaminating your land. And right now we're kind of powerless to do anything to stop people from doing that, and we kind of understand why farmers might want to, because it's very affordable. Obviously it's free, but there's a lot of hazards that come along with it.
But I think the exposure to the carcinogens is top priority.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and other harm too. I mean, you look at medical waste can contain all kinds of things. It could be radioactive, and that stuff all winds up in sewage treatment plants and then is not removed by the sewage treatment plant. So that's all I've got. If you guys are, I don't know if you're amenable to voting on it this evening or not. But.
Any other questions?
Some of the other municipalities that adopted it took out some of the language. It's up to you what you want to do, but there's some comments that were in there. And Linda, I know you didn't Lehighton adopt it also? Or did we defer for the time being?
They're going to consider it in May.
Oh, okay, all right.
But it's been recommended by Attorney Nanovic that a couple of paragraphs be removed from the resolution. That's fine with us because it doesn't affect the intent of the resolution.
I have a copy of the resolution if you guys want to hear it.
Sure.
They have.
We have the resolution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
But thank you.
Well, a friend of mine in Packer Township had that on his fields. And Penn State tested everything for 3 years, and they found no rise in the water or anything in the creeks or anything around his house or fields.
It's as I said, it's extremely variable. The source matters, and it can change day to day. So depending on where he got it from, it could be safe. But right now, there's no, who's to say? That's, the stuff that's getting applied now is coming from Bethlehem, which has a hospital and things like that. So it really, what he got might have come from a small township that didn't have any, municipal waste. Or could just be that day someone decides to illegally dump a bunch of motor oil down their drain. That winds up in the stuff that comes out that day.
Because I know he told me they tested it for 3 years, Penn State and another college, and they tested every bit around him for half a mile and everything.
Yeah. It's most of the places, as I've said, there are places now in the States that have banned it because it will occasionally become dangerous, and most of the places that test for that usually find PFAs in that waste. But again, it's a question of where that sludge came from. And there's nothing, even if what he had was safe for 3 years, nothing says that the next year it could come from somewhere else and it could be full of stuff that's harmful. There's no regulation currently, and the local township is powerless to put that regulation in place. We're not trying to ban it, we're just trying to get you guys the ability to regulate it however you see fit.
Like, I can see the advantages, it behooves us to do that. Carbon County in itself, there's a tremendous amount of waste that can be and is being distributed throughout the area. So if we can do something to help prevent it from infecting our own county and the farmlands, probably a good process.
Yeah, by no means is our group anti-farmer or anything like that. If anything, we've spent most of our time trying to preserve farmland, and we see this as a pro-farming initiative. We don't want our local farmland to get long-term contaminated by things like heavy metals and PFAS.
My question would be, Jim, do you think there's stuff that should be taken out of this, or is it kind of like a?
Well, yes. Again, I was just telling Norm, it's the first paragraph and then the fourth and fifth paragraph. The first one mentions Bethlehem and Allentown. It can come from anywhere. And the fourth and fifth were regarding things that we don't know are accurate or not. They may very well be. I don't know what goes on in Maine and if it caused contamination. And I don't know if it causes monkeypox or whatever. It may. So I'm saying, but the idea, so I take those 3 paragraphs out. The important ones are now therefore, which is you're asking your representatives to allow local regulation of this type of use.
So you would make the resolution, or
Motion.
you'd motion to just
deleting paragraphs
delete
1, 4, and 5.
1, 4, and 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, that, again, it wouldn't affect
Yeah.
the main point of it, so I don't think we'd have a problem with that. That's not at all.
Okay, what's council's pleasure?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve that resolution based on our solicitor's advice to eliminate paragraphs 1, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first by Joe Thomas, second by Joe Cyber. Any questions? Roll call.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Vincent Cutterford,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
Jeffrey Miller,
Yes.
and Joseph Seibert.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on business is Pop-Out Day Proclamation.
Okay. My name is Georgia Farrow, and I am representing the Wellness Council at the Weatherly Area School District. I've been a member of it for at least 10 years. It's one of the few wellness councils that are active in the school districts in Carbon County. When I started working with Becky, it was mandatory by the Department of Ed that each school have a wellness council. And unfortunately, many of them have phased out, but we are still very active. And what Pop-Out Day is, it's an awareness campaign to focus on water instead of sugary drinks. And what the school is going to be doing on May 10th is the kids get to sign a huge thing on the wall pledging that they will be more restrictive of the sugary sodas, Gatorades, and things like that, and focus more on water, because water is probably the best liquid that you can take within your body. In fact, probably most of us right now experience dryness in our throats, so our bodies are already in some state of dehydration. But I don't have a copy of it. I guess, Lori, you
They
have
have
it.
a copy.
You have a copy.
Yes.
Do you want me to read it, or?
No,
No?
they had passed this last year.
Yeah, last year, when I worked for the county, we used to have the commissioners do it, but unfortunately, it's easier for the Borough Council to sign off on it and, proclaim May 10th, everyone, you should be focusing on water versus your sugary drinks, and because a lot of them sodas, even Gatorades and stuff, if you're even like children, they're good if you're a very active person. You're biking, running, whatever. They're, you know, they're helpful in that sense, but if you're sitting at a computer drinking a quart of Gatorade, it's not the best thing to do. So I don't know, is it in here?
No,
No, you have
they
it.
have it in their books.
Okay, okay, so, but I just want to mention that, and I guess I should stand for the next thing on the agenda.
If you look at both at once, you know.
I just need a copy to take up to the school for May 10th. Some
Well,
of our,
you'll need a signed copy, and
yeah, some of our members from our auxiliary are going to be going up there to disperse the water. Each child does get a bottle of water to take home with them, so.
we'll do that.
Okay, we need a motion and a second for pop-out day proclamation.
I'll make a motion that we will have a pop-out day proclamation.
I'll second it.
First by Tracy DeAndre, second by Joe Cyber. Roll call.
Vincent Cutterford,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
Joseph Seibert,
Yes.
and Jeffrey Miller.
Yes.
Okay, next item of concern for business, Ladies Auxiliary request for parade and for a donation for the 30th of May.
Now, as far as I know, I was told to back off of the parade, that it was the men's responsibility. I did call the commander yesterday and ask him about it. I have not heard back from him. But I will continue to check with him and see what they want to do. I know last year I did help a lot with the parade, but this year with our military share food drop-off being that week, and we also, the Ladies Auxiliary, we're having a poppy night that Friday. It's going to be a bit overwhelming. So if there was something else that we could do, I don't know. Last year there were complaints about everything from the sound system at the gazebo to they didn't like the way the national anthem was played, you know, things like that. But I will definitely get back to you. As far as the donation that you give, I would suggest please just hold off on it to see what they want to do. I don't know, Teresa, you would agree with me on that, right? To hold off on the donation, to see. Like I said, I was told to just back off on the parade because it isn't our responsibility technically. And it seems like the more we step in to help, the more we're, you know, doing for the parade. But I do have all the paperwork, and I did mention to him that since Chris is no longer, she's retired, most of the responsibility does fall on the person in charge of the parade. You know, the ministers, the different organizations, and things like that, and also the speaker for up at the, you know. I know even last year the school sent me the bios, and I took care of placing that in the newspaper too, so they were, you know, in the newspaper. But I will definitely check with our commander and our men and see what they want to do. They will have a meeting Monday night, so I will check with them to see, you know, what's going on with that, okay?
Okay.
George, I'd like to thank you and the ladies over there. You do a nice job. We put that building up years ago, and I tell you what, you jumped right in there and you make good use of it. You do a
Well,
nice job.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm the president this year, and one of my goals is to take our programs, as I call it, to the street, literally the parking lot. We just did, April is the month of the military child, and it's to praise our children, especially that are or their parents are deployed or active, of the sacrifices they give up. And we were supposed to do it in the school, and we didn't get any participation. Nobody had contacted me to register. The school had some limitations, which I think were just a little bit too much. And we opened it up. We had a meeting on Monday, and I said to the ladies, we can do this. So we just had a party. I said, even if nobody shows up, we're gonna have ice cream sundaes and cookies. We had 50 people, kids, even the baseball team. Janet Hallman went up and invited them all down for Sundays, and believe it or not, there was a young man there whose mother was a medic for 6 years in the Army, and I think his grandfather raised him. So there's a big sacrifice also, you know. But we like to do more programs, and we're working with the police to do some things. We're going to be helping them with their golf tournament, so. So if anybody has any ideas, come and see me, or if it's possible, we'd like to do some more programs down there. Our goal is to educate, advocate, and communicate, and that's what we want to do this year, so. Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is Atlas Engineering Resolution.
As I had mentioned to you before, this is one of the hoops we have to jump through, for the pickleball and basketball.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we accept Atlas Engineering to do our work.
You second?
I'll second.
First by Joe Seibert, second by Vinnie. Roll call?
Jeffrey Miller,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Teresa DeAndrea,
Yes.
Vincent Cuthbertson,
Yes.
and Joseph Seibert.
Yes.
Okay, next order of business. DeFrancisco Vacation of Roads.
Yes, good evening. Trevor Paramba.
Want to go over to the mic?
Sure. First, we just wanted to confirm one piece of information. If the road is vacated, we understand that it goes to the adjoining property owners and not to Mr. DeFrancisco. So we ask for confirmation that Mr. DeFrancisco would then need to obtain an easement. Is that correct,
No, no.
from what we understand?
Well, the first part was correct. Once it's vacated, it goes to the adjoining property owners. It is subject to an easement of him crossing over it. That was not our concern. Our concern, what I expressed to you, was if he wishes the borough to run utility lines to that property, we're gonna need an easement. So how we do that, I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. We don't, and if he wants borough utilities, sewer, water, whatever, maybe he doesn't, but if he does, he's gonna, somehow we need to have an easement to cross over that property.
And by deed, I guess, if you vote to vacate the roads, then by deed, that can be given to the borough.
Well, it can be with the exception of the two people who have not signed. There's two, I shouldn't say two people, I think one's a husband and wife and one's an individual. So we wouldn't have an easement over their property. That will pose a problem to us if you want utilities.
I'm sorry, Dominic DeFrancisco. I hate to step in and bother you,
Please.
but I don't understand everything. So when you said it would be subject to an easement, what does that mean?
Subject to which part? The part where I said it's
You
vacated?
said it would be vacated to the adjacent landowners.
Subject to an easement of people crossing over. By law, when we vacate it, the different adjoining property owners become the owners. However, any of those adjoiners have the right to cross over it, including you to get back to this property, which is why I thought you were doing this in the first place.
Yes, but subject to an easement means I would have to get an easement?
No, it means you have an easement.
I would have an easement.
It's conveyed to Joe Smith and Sam Jones on either side, subject to an easement for DeFrancisco to cross over it.
Okay.
So you will have that easement.
Would that extend all the way to the part of the road that I guess isn't connected? Because I need a part of 7th Street, the intersection of 7th and Fell, and I wouldn't be adjoining to anything except to Fell Street on my property.
Well, it extends to any part that we're vacating. So you've asked us to vacate a certain portion. That's what we're looking at doing.
Okay. But even though I would have an easement in this, I would still have to get the two landowners that didn't sign off yet to agree.
To allow public, to
the
allow
borough to
borough
have an
utilities to
easement.
get back there, yes.
Okay.
That was why I think we had suggested an alternate route, and I don't think you were interested in the alternate route, and that's fine, but that was why we suggested, because maybe those people will be more inclined to, go along with this, in which case then you could have an easement for utilities.
Yes, sir, I did look at all the different possibilities of entering, and by Pardee Street, those homeowners that border both sides have actually been there much longer than the folks at the end of 7th. And both of them, you could see clearly from going out and just looking at it, or kind of using part of what was the road, what is the paper street. I don't think they would be any more inclined to allow me to build a road through there than the other folks would.
All right.
Thank you.
No, I think in that case, what we had talked about is I'm still not getting what I need to be able to build a home back there. And it seems that by asking to vacate the land, what I'm doing is getting the road basically given over in part to my neighbors who have not contacted back on my proposal to vacate. So it seems that they're not inclined to provide me any type of easement in the future. So I would like to withdraw my request to vacate the roads and ask instead the borough's permission to simply allow me to open the road at my own expense and at my own maintenance with no liability on the borough. And it would still be borough property, it would just be open now. Is that a possibility?
I think at a prior meeting, you had mentioned something about that, and I said, you should talk to your attorney about doing that, and he can advise you what needs to be done. If you're not asking us to vacate it, there's nothing we need to do.
I did ask my attorney, and they said pretty much that we were directed to ask for it to be vacated as the best way, so. But this is all I need. I don't need to own the land. It would be great if I did, but I just need to get back to it.
Okay. We have not stopped you from getting back to it.
I was told that if I start cutting a road and the police were called on me, they would have to respond.
That's true.
But-
I didn't
well,
say,
then-
well, no, that's true if anybody calls the police, our police respond. That's all I said, is the police would respond. If there's a report that someone says, hey, someone's trespassing on my property, the police will respond. I didn't say what they're going to do.
Can you just talk plainly? Can I access it or can I not access it? That's all I want to know.
But you're asking me to give you legal advice about what rights you have right now with the property that you bought. And I'm not going to give you legal advice, which is why I said talk to your attorney regarding that. When you came to the borough is to vacate it, and that now involves us, and that's where I will give you direct the Borough Council what needs to be done. But now you're talking about what advice regarding using your property or access to your property. I'm saying that's something that should come from your attorney, not from me.
What? If he wants to open a road himself, then he would fall under the criteria of our subdivision ordinance on how the road would have to be constructed and what he would look for. Not merely just looking at dirt road.
Not necessarily, because the question is he's not subdividing, he's
Okay.
and the question is, how is he doing it? I'm sure there's a lot of places that have access to the property over private property. So I'm not, I can't tell you that's.
So on a public road,
Yeah.
it would be public.
It's not, well, but no, it's be a private road. It's no different than a development road.
If he opened it,
Yeah, it's not our road.
okay.
It's a private road. Like, a lot of people have private roads. Usually they call them lanes and things like that, where people go back to. And what happens? What's that?
Even though it's a paper street,
It's a paper street, yeah.
but it's not, we haven't.
Which has
touched
never been
it in
opened
21
in
years.
21 years have passed.
I'll just ask again. Is there any possibility you could let me know what you all just talked about?
What we were talking about is, like, if you decided to open the road, would there be any criteria from the borough on how the road would be constructed? But you're saying it's the solicitor advised me that it's a private road, so we would not have.
I'm not saying not, I'm saying it's a private road. It's not gonna become a public road. A lot of people, again, when developers these days put in
Right.
roads, they never turn them over to the boroughs or townships because the townships and boroughs don't want the responsibility. So I'm saying it would not become a public road. I'm saying it's no different than, think of all the developments up in Penn Forest and Kidder Township that are all privately owned roads within their development.
Who would be responsible for stormwater management?
Who would be responsible for stormwater management? To the extent that anybody opens something, he would be. To the extent that he starts doing something, he may need certain plans to go in there. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying it's not becoming a public road.
Right, okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's now a different question that's being asked.
Okay, so I have permission to go in there, is basically what it comes down to. And I have all along. I'd be able to access my property.
To the extent that the borough has any authority to grant you permission, let's put it this way, we're not withholding anything. You can do whatever you want, but I think it's more you dealing with the neighbors there. It's a private matter between you and your neighbors.
Would the borough still run utilities along my private road?
I have to discuss, well, we don't have an easement, so we'd have to discuss that. I have to discuss that with the borough manager.
And what utilities are you gonna be looking for? You need electric, naturally.
Electric. I'm
That's
pretty
it?
sure we're gonna stick with,
The waste,
septic and
septic,
and well.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great news, and I guess that takes us back to in December when the Borough Council did vote that I could access, kind of, sort of. But I saw this, for the one part of the petition that we had, it was not just to vacate the parts of 7th and Fell Street to allow me access, but also a section of Pardee Street between my two properties. I would still like that vacated so that I could join my properties in a reverse subdivision. If that could still be voted on in the petition's present form, or if it has to be redone, I'm not in a big hurry, but I would still like that to happen.
So he's asking to vacate just past the yellow, no, instead.
What street
But
are you
just
saying?
on his property.
Pardee.
The part that goes between the two parcels.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I own parcel H22 and F1401.
Not the yellow, just the part after the
next
yellow.
down.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
No.
So basically, what are we doing?
You need a motion to vacate.
Well, it'd still have to go through the ordinance process, so and we'd still ask him to present them. Actually, it's only his property. So, well, if you're gonna consolidate them, that was your intent?
Yep.
Wouldn't you make I'm trying to make it easier on you. Why wouldn't you make that request when you go to consolidate? When you bring in a reverse subdivision, make the request at that point to vacate the road and consolidate them?
I know nothing about the process, so I just
Okay,
figured it
I'm just
doesn't
saying,
hurt
I'm
to do
thinking
it at
rather
this
than going
point.
through two separate processes, I'm thinking that makes more, to me at least, makes more sense to do it all at once.
I've spent 5 months trying to get permission to access the road, which apparently I had the whole time,
yeah.
so,
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. You're welcome.
Will you vote on vacating that section of Pardee tonight, or do I need to update the petition to take out the 7th and Fell Street part?
It's only affecting I'll put it this way, the petition can be very, you'd submit a petition, but you're the only one, since you're the only one on either side of that portion of Pardee, you're telling us, give us a petition and just streamline it down, it's just saying just that part.
Okay.
Yep, okay?
Super, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the last item under business is for contractor license.
We do the fee at the same time.
Well, we're just drafting,
You're not gonna draft the
ordinance,
license.
so yeah,
Yeah, all right.
so it's
Gotcha.
really just authorizing me to prepare an ordinance to submit to you.
Okay.
You'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion, we move forward with the building contractor's license with a minimum fee.
An add-on to that with the fact that they have workers' comp coverage and liability insurance. Is that good, Joe?
Works for me.
Second.
I'll second that.
First by Joe Seibert, second by Joe Thomas. Roll call.
Vincent Cutterford,
Yes.
Joseph Thomas,
Yes.
Jeffrey Miller,
Yes.
Norman Ritchie,
Yes.
Joseph Seibert,
Yes.
and Teresa DeAndrea.
Yes.
Okay, we're open for adjournment.
I I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Lori, do you remember what we did? How did we distinguish them? We gave them something.